Hey guys, we are finally here. Finally made it. Sorry for the delay, and finally got this all figured out. So, let me bring this up on my page here. And what's going on with you today, John?
Not much. Just feeling tip top magoo. Not feeling too sick or nothing. My girlfriend's brother's 18th birthday today, so in
Oh
Canada
wow,
that's a big thing. So she's going for cake and that, and
especially Manitoba. That's like the age.
yes sir, yes sir. But he's not gonna go out drinking tonight or nothing like that.
No,
He's not gonna get too crazy. No, he's a good kid. He really is.
right on.
Before we get started, though, I'd just like to give a shout out to Mr. Louis Fisk, a very good man, a benefactor, and a very good friend. And I'd just like to thank him for everything he's done, his family, to our podcast. And I
Yes.
just want him to know that we really appreciate him.
Yeah. He's done quite a bit for a lot of different people in the community, and just the generosity that he's shown to others is just absolutely overwhelming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in my case as well. So, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had that PSP 7, the speakers that he sent me already. He's sending me the Marshall amp, everything. So, I mean, if it wasn't for Louis, I wouldn't be able to continue on investigating my place. So, look forward to more sessions, guys.
Absolutely. And PSP 7 and Marshall amp as well, right?
Yep. Yeah, he sent me an Altec speaker and then a Bluetooth 808, and now he's going to send me the mini Marshall to go absolute magnitude mode.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So just trying to open up the watch page here so that I can see any chats coming through.
Awesome.
And you can just start on whatever you want to start on there, John, while I'm doing this. I can listen
Sure.
at the same time.
Sure. Well, the material I came across here that we're going to kind of discuss first was actually I was listening to I went down a YouTube hole and I was listening to the Halloween episodes of Art Bell's old show called Ghost to Ghost AM when he would just have callers call in and talk about ghost stories. And one guy came in and he talked about the whole theory of the astral shell and how terrifying I thought. Because after Art Bell is always, well, that's absolutely terrifying. I would have ran in the other direction. That's Art Bell. And but this man came on and spoke very astutely, and it really piqued my interest at what he was talking about. Now I call it a theory because I've recently been researching this, and so, it's just something I felt to share with everybody and get their opinions as well because, this has, if this is true, if it's true, then this has far-reaching implications for all of us in the ITC field
Hmm.
because we may not be talking to who think we're talking to,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that could hurt us. That's not safe.
Yeah, and
At the same time, though, most people that are using the boxes and everything else know the cautions and things they need to do and whatnot and steps
mhm,
they should take. And there's always people out there that are always willing to support should something bad happen, truly bad,
yeah.
and not fake bad, which
Hmm.
sometimes you see on guys make things to scare teenagers.
Yes.
But anyway, so yeah. We're more about the reality side of the paranormal and things here, not about the fictional side. Although some things may sound fictional at first until you really go down the rabbit hole and do the research, like this theory I'll be kind of presenting.
Hmm. So that's actually a very scary thought, though. I mean, I said it to you in one of our hangouts, and it'd be
So
a absolutely terrible thing to think of your essence being used for some kind of evil going on there.
exactly.
It's like you. you strive to be a peaceful person, then this entity can come along and just, use that against your loved ones, and who knows what goes on from that point.
Well, not even just loved ones, but imagine that the astral shell is in a home and their new family moves in, and there's a malevolent spirit, or in this case, a demonic spirit willing to take that astral shell, and then they make you look like a crazy man.
Hmm.
You know, so it's truly terrifying. It's being hijacked,
Hmm.
and it raises questions and implications in our field. I truly believe so. If you like, I could kind of just delve into it a little bit here.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, all right. So the astral shell theory to me and is very it's interesting one, and we've kind of broached the subject for our chatters a little bit. So I'm going to get into it a little bit more, just to kind of define it. All right. So astral shells are the remnants of the astral body or the prana body, as in Madame Blavatsky's, her terms in magic and Thelema magic, that once animated the physical body. Some even call these astral corpses. When the physical body dies, the astral shell slash corpse continues to linger after the death of the physical body. Like how they say when you pass, your spirit stays with your physical body for up to 3 days before you cross, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, what this continues to go into is that um, instead of that crossing over, what's happening now is that, and what is terrifying is that parapsychologists, demonologists, and even black magic practitioners and Kabbalistic practitioners of magic, and even the church community itself, believes that your astral shell can be occupied by a demonic force or a demonic entity. Imagine that malevolent spirit is a demonic entity and could use your astral shell to terrify a family using your likeness. I mean, imagine look at the case of that famous Warren's case now, where the kids lived in the funeral home. The book was called In a Dark Place, and I think they called it The Haunting in Connecticut. And you know what I mean. So just imagine the
Hmm.
spirits. They weren't actually the spirits. They were these demons.
Yeah.
Imagine that. These people that have been gone through a funeral home. You know what I mean? And embalmed and everything else. And whatever's lingered there can now just be occupied by evil. It's not residual. It's you know what I mean? It's evil. And that's terrifying. It
Yeah.
truly is, especially to small children and families. I mean, I've spoken to the case where I dealt with a family that was been haunted for 17 years.
So in these articles you were reading, John, does it say anything about where we would go when this essence does what it's doing?
We pass on, so we cross over. Our spirit essentially in the research, we cross over, but our physical shell, this astral shell, is what's left behind. So really, it's basically we do cross over, or we go to hell or heaven or whatever anybody believes. I don't want to encroach on anybody's belief systems here, but we cross over. You know what I mean? And to an atheist, it's the end, right? So anyway, that's it, blackness. And but I don't want to make fun of anybody, but you know what we cross over. That's the general,
Hmm.
thing. And then the astral shell, or, this shell of this vessel that we have is no longer needed as, we cross over. And a lot of people might criticize me, but I say read the works of Sylvia Browne. A lot of people have said she's a charlatan or a cold reader. But in many of her books that I've read, I found a lot of commonalities and a lot of truth. And so I know that doesn't quite tie into the astral shell theory with her, but some of her cases, if I were to, but then this would be a very long program if I were to go into all those cases. So we're not going to do that. And I'm going to stay on point. But so I don't know. What are the chatters saying right now? Like,
We don't have anybody right now, John.
No, no, maybe they got
We
discouraged from
we
the
have
last
two
one, but
watching. If there's anybody in the chat and you want to say hello and just let us know what you think on this, let us know.
absolutely. And if you guys miss it, then just leave a comment down below about how you feel about this.
Yeah, that's right. So, where do you want to go now, John?
Well, I mean, I want to continue actually. I just like to continue on saying that many people and the fundamental Christians believe that the astral shell, the ghost, is used by demons to impersonate the real spirit people. Even when a medium communicates with the dead, it's said now in this research that even when a medium connects with a spirit, and I'm pretty sure a few in TSE and outside of TSE, I could probably think of the high priestess Karen. She would disagree with this.
Yeah,
So
I believe so.
many people in them, a medium communicates with the dead. They're not speaking to that spirit at all, but they're actually speaking to demons impersonating loved ones. Now, I'm quite sure that a few psychics would absolutely
Yeah.
step on that theory because a psychic gets that the reception, they get the person, they get what they felt.
hmm
If
Yeah,
that's
they get certain feelings off of them, and they get essences of their character and certain validations as well. I believe when they're communicating.
absolutely, and so this raises even more questions because when you look at the works of Madame Blavatsky and then you look at Crowley, and that's kind of where this kind of goes into a little bit. But I didn't want to delve too deep into thelemic magic in that yet because it is
Right.
something that's not for everybody.
Right. And
It
just
is
for our
something.
viewers who may not be aware of who those people are, can you just give a brief description of that?
Oh, Aleister Crowley and Madame Blavatsky are both, I would, in my opinion, I would call them Luciferians. They were both type, in the pursuit of magic and spell work and such in their time. And I truly have always believed they were black magic practitioners. And Aleister Crowley had no problem admitting that, anyways, branding people in the tool shed. And so the thelemic magic relies more on, and I'm not 100% on this, but I know thelemic magic is based on sex magic. So
Okay.
Crowley used a lot of sex magic, and some more people that are a little more, I would say, enlightened than me would be able to elaborate a lot more on that.
hmm
I'm not able to because a lot of it I can't stomach. A lot of his practices. Just to give you an idea of a thelemic practitioner today, would be Marina Abramovich. I don't know if you're aware of her during the Pizzagate scandal. She was the 70-year-old woman who looked like a 40-year-old holding the in her hands the severed goat's head.
hmm
Yeah, her. She looks like she's 70 and she looks like she's 40.
Just a second,
And
John. Corey just jumped onto our stream. Just want to say hi, Corey.
hey, Corey, how you doing, brother?
All right. So go on there.
So yeah, anyways, where was I?
I lost the train to you there, John.
Yeah, it happens.
Yes, it does. So you're saying that they're deeply into sex magic, and somebody that you would say was a practitioner now was who was that again?
Be today the practitioners. Darn it. Well, Blavatsky, you have Crowley, and then today, I mean, you have. There's so many theories. There's so many people that are practicing this. That would probably be a different show, I think.
All right. Yeah,
Um,
it was very something that was very popular like years and years ago.
well, they used to call it the Satanic Panic. That's what it was. Yeah, it was called the Satanic Panic because a lot of stupid children and teenagers would go and
Mhm.
kill somebody in the name of the devil and,
Yeah.
go to jail and everything. And they were stupid because they don't understand.
Yeah.
And that's truly saddening to me. Honestly, if anybody truly wants to become that type of religion, I can't hang out with them anymore.
No,
But
of course not.
no offense to anybody who leans that way, but that's not me. But the practice of the thelemic sex magic goes into MK Ultra type stuff and everything else as well. When they talk about separating the brain for alters and things like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah,
Getting off just a little bit off topic at the moment, but
a little.
thelemic sex magic kind of is used in those practices as well. And so, Crowley gleaned a lot of this. And, if you look at a lot of stuff, everything's always a masculine and a feminine.
Hmm.
There's always, as the Masons say, as above, so below,
Yeah.
so it's always that duality. And so continuing on with the astral shell. What we left off is I was talking about the psychic phenomenon and how
Mm,
psychics would, actually disagree with this theory.
yeah.
But Blavatsky actually came with this research about the astral shell um, as the deserted physical body. So basically, the astral shell, all right, is your deserted physical body, and it's used until its energy has completely dissipated. Many people say that these astral shells are allegedly many or that's allegedly what many people believe to be ghosts. So many people believe these astral shells are allegedly ghosts.
Okay. Right.
The the discarded part of the human body.
Hmm.
So that's unnerving to me. As
That's
Art
what?
Bell would say, that's unnerving to me.
Mm.
And as Art Bell would say, that is truly, truly terrifying. I put my Art Bell voice on. Yeah, yeah. I wonder if he got threatened again. You
Oh
ever
God.
notice that every couple of years Art Bell comes back and then he
Yeah.
gets threatened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it disappears again for a little while, and then
Yeah.
yeah.
He's probably still in Pahrump, Nevada. That's actually the name of the town he's in, Pahrump.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you got to be careful. I mean, there was a DJ like not too long. Well, I guess so. It's 70s, 80s. There's, I forget his name now, but he was a broadcaster. He was a shock jock, and he would like, well, it was a talk show, so he would put people down. And then one time there was somebody who called in and threatened him, and met him in the parking lot of his home, and or not the parking lot, but the driveway of his home, and shot him dead. There's actually a movie about it.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Based on a true story. They didn't use a guy's actual name in the movie, but yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
can't really blame him for disappearing because you never, especially in this crazy world, the modern world we live in now, you never know what the fuck's gonna happen.
Well, just to get off topic and kind of roll with that for a sec, the guy, the doctor that basically came out and admitted and got the entire winter Olympic, I think it was the 2014 team disqualified from the Olympics. The doctor was a professional juicer, and he had it down to a science to where if they made you, go for a pee, you wouldn't get caught.
Oh wow.
And so that guy, right, because he came out and said that, that got the entire Russian national, team for the Olympics
Oh my.
gone. They
Wow.
were all disqualified. So the guy's apparently living in the United States in hiding because the Russians got a hit on him.
I don't blame him.
Well,
But
those Russians juice, man. There's no regulations over there. They
oh no.
juice.
Huh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I listened to a lot of Rogan stuff, and Joey Diaz had an Ultimate Fighter winner on last night, and he was talking about how the Mexican national soccer team got disqualified because of a steroid that's actually used that in by the farmers and to make the cattle grow, and
Mm-hmm.
then so they ate the contaminated meat, and then that made them get tested, and it showed they had performance enhancing drugs, and that entire U.S. Or the Mexican soccer team was disqualified that year, and it was from
Wow.
tainted meat. Yeah, it's some kind of a steroid. I can't remember the name, but farmers inject it into beef and stuff like that, and like cows and livestock to make them grow bigger. And
Hmm.
then when they butcher the animal, there's and also in China this happens. And the guy was saying when they butcher the animal and you eat this meat that's slightly tainted with this
Then you
steroid.
get that steroid inside of you.
Exactly, yeah. And when this guy was in China, I can't remember his name. Is it Kelvin something? Anyway, he won the Ultimate Fighter like 5 years ago. I think it was
Hmm.
Kelvin something. He's a great fighter. I can't remember his last name. God, And but he was also talking about when he was fighting in China. Yeah, USADA sent him a list of restaurants that he had to eat at because they were all high end and they didn't have the contaminated so that he wouldn't test dirty for a fight.
Mm.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy around the world that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyways, back to the paranormal. Um,
Yes.
so let's segue here, man. What do you think this means for us in the ITC community if this is true? When we
I,
research using our tools, I mean, are we surrounded by demons constantly? Are we dealing with the actual person and not an astral shell? You know what I
that's a
mean?
good question. And I think what it comes down to really is asking those validation questions. You have to ask questions that another entity, because there's always going to be negative entities when you're trying to communicate. So you need to ask those validation questions, questions that only the actual person would know the answers to, so you can know that who you're speaking with is, or who you're trying to speak with is the person that you're actually speaking with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's definitely one of the safeguards I do believe.
Yeah.
Mr. Grant tells me to F off a lot. And a lot of you'll hear him tell me to F off. He always, he gets cranky. And and the whole thing about the footsteps is that like I'm not done my room yet here, the figure room. I'm not
Mhm.
totally done yet. So, but like I haven't finished cleaning the whole place out and everything. But I have the bed and everything downstairs, and it's right above this room or below this room, and you're always hearing walking up there, and it's not the house settling. You can hear the footsteps,
Mhm.
and then so
Yeah,
this morning, I'm sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
that's okay. I was just going to say I didn't actually get to see it yet, but you had posted something about a video about footsteps, which I had just noticed on your channel, and I actually had a chance to actually look at it yet. But yeah, go into that a bit.
Well, it was just a quick burst session this morning because I could hear the footsteps, and so I'm thinking to myself, well, what better time than to break out the PSP 7 and that Alltech and put it into a form of magnitude mode where the sweeps are incredibly clear,
Hmm.
and it's a little bit harder for my ear to hear because I'm still used to that 2125.
Yeah.
But and after when I listened to it and actually shout out to Candice Boulin, Candice B. She actually noticed one of the first ones, and that was Devil. And I think Louis Fisk actually noticed something as well when I was saying come upstairs, and Satan, I do believe, was said.
Mm.
So I don't know what's actually totally gone on in this place. I mean, I don't worship the devil or anything like that, and I don't know of anybody in here who's ever done anything like that. But when I first got my 2125, um, when I first booted it up, my old roommate lived here, and I started asking questions. And in the end, I said, "Do you have anything to say for Bob?" And that was the name of the guy that was living with me. And the
Hmm.
voice came back clear as day. Love Lucifer's light.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I don't quite know what I'm dealing with here yet, and I don't know if it is just Mr. Grant or if I'm dealing with something a little bit more sinister because a lot of times like our moods will get affected here.
Hmm.
Um, I'll get into a bad headspace, you know what I mean, and be crabby for a few days or something, you know. If things just your emotions kind of get away with you sometimes in this place. And
Yeah, that's
so
one of the
it's
things I say can happen too, is that if there's a negative presence there, it can can somehow end up affecting you and causing you to act or do things that you wouldn't normally do, or just act in a manner that you wouldn't normally act in.
exactly. And that's happened to myself and my girlfriend a few times the last, few years we've been living here. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty weird, but I'm trying to get to the bottom of it as best I can. So, you
Did you
know.
get any footsteps on that, like on the actual video? Were you able to hear any? Is there anything that
No,
could
I
be?
fired it up after I heard the footsteps. The next time I hear him, I'm gonna get I'm gonna bring out the phone and I'm literally just gonna put it up and like hopefully you get the audio. And then I'll
Yeah,
go
that'd
to the
be cool.
box, instead of running to the box first kind of dealy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you can hear it. It's not the house settling. It's you can hear the footsteps.
yeah.
And even when I was upstairs here, you could see under the door where the light was, you could hear the footsteps and he'd walk back and forth from that room to the next room there. And
Wow.
so yeah, yeah. If I'd love to be able to set up like some kind of a full spectrum cam or something and leave it running. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? With a spirit
Definitely.
box or something and some REM pods, if I could ever get those, and do an experiment and see exactly what the heck is going on and see if I can get some visual proof of this entity.
Yeah. Well, if you were looking for a camera, there's one that I got is from Cleveland Paranormal, and it's a great full spectrum or IR camera, and Canadian would cost about 220 bucks. But audio on it isn't great. But if you're looking for just like a visual thing, then that would be
Yeah,
something that I would kind of try to look into and
absolutely.
get that set up, and yeah, that'd be awesome.
Well, now finally I've done paid the arrears from my roommate, my old roommate, the one that was told to love Lucifer's light. So 2,800 gone, you know what I mean, for
Mm.
quiet. So now that, that's all taken care of, at least my financial situation is going to be picking up a little bit more now. And I won't be losing, only existing on like a couple $100 a month.
Yeah, that's good. That's rough when you're doing that. Trying to make
Yeah.
make that much stretch like over 30 days is nigh on impossible unless you're going to like food banks and stuff like that, which
Yeah.
in some cases you have to do that. But um yeah, now that that's dealt with, you're be able to move forward, which is good.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're just moving forward.
Right on, right on. Yeah, getting back to how spirits can negatively impact you. I was just remembered something that happened probably 4 or 5 years ago. I'd gone downtown, and downtown Peterborough, it's all like former cemetery and stuff, and there's like lots of reports of hauntings in different areas there, and so one day I go downtown and I'm just like getting this really eerie feeling, and I get back home, and I guess I was just a complete asshat, and just to the point where I'm where Darlene was saying, "Okay, you need to leave now." So I ended up like having to go to my I had a room that I was renting at the time, and ended up having to go there. But yeah, she's like, "I'm sorry, but you left and you were in a great mood. You came back and you were just like different. You were weird. It was, and my kids noticed it too. So I just had to ask you to leave. And that's just kind of an example of was it. Well, I can't say for sure it was paranormal, but I don't know why I would be in a bad mood because nothing negative happened to me while I was gone. So
Never know. You could have been followed home.
yeah, that's possible. Yeah,
Brought somebody
there's
home with you.
some kind of attachment or something. Who knows?
That
But
would
yeah,
be my first guess.
yeah.
Absolutely, that'd be my first guess because that's happened to me back when I used to do investigations and stuff like that. So that's
Do
happened to
you
me a couple of times.
do you ever, after you've done a session, feel like suddenly just like really tired, kind of drained? Has that ever
Yes,
happened to you? Yeah.
absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
And
because
especially
I've noticed that for myself as well. But go ahead and say what you're going to say, especially.
when I've used, when I've allowed them to use my energy.
Hmm.
and I've said use my energy to come through, like, that's when I can really feel drained. Like, I'll have to turn it off and go lay down, kind of thing, and just,
Yeah.
yeah, get my head back together. And that's just from constant exposure, I do believe.
Hmm.
Because I mean, on my street, I've got three churches, right? So who knows if the deceased come looking for salvation at these places of worship or not. And I'm always picking up different, not just Mr. Grant, but I'm picking up female voices. I'll pick up, like the Bum Dia Dio that came booming over it's amazing. It's impossible. There's no radio stations on AM that even come close to speaking Latin or Portuguese, and that was the closest I could find
Yeah.
to
Okay, John, just gonna interrupt you here. Just Corey in the chat here. He says the more you communicate, sometimes it allows the more negative ones to creep in. In my opinion, it's happened at my place too. He says,
yeah, yeah, I could totally agree with that, Corey.
and he also says here, do you have a resident spirit at your place, Wes? I can touch on that actually. From the moment I've been here, really, the basement has been, which is why I do a lot of sessions in the basement now, is because there seems to be some kind of entity there that I've actually felt the presence of, and um, there is definitely something there. I don't know why it's the basement. It's strange how sometimes there'll be like different areas of a house, and I don't find the basement creepy at all. I'm not afraid of basements. I like had a bedroom in the basement, and yeah, there seems to be something there. So yeah, there's definitely some kind of resident or residence in spirit form here for sure. And
Mhm.
we've also seen but I say we, but it's actually been Darlene who's seen a figure standing by the bed, and she's also seen a figure in the doorway. So we definitely have something going on here. We've had this picture right here fall off the wall for absolutely no reason. As you can see, it's hanging there just fine now. It's been hanging there
Yeah,
for a good couple of weeks, but every now and then it'll just come off the wall for absolutely no reason.
yeah. Okay, okay. All right. I am. That's getting my brain going. It's getting the
Is it?
gears going. What I'm trying to think here. Like, well, what could this be?
Yeah.
Somebody that came in to talk to you and just decided to stick around. Was that person always here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the thing is, though, the one by the bed, it was before I had started using the spirit boxes and stuff. I'd done EVP sessions, but very, very rarely.
Yeah.
But so that one, but yeah, the other could definitely be that. But then again, the spirit entities in the basement was also before I started doing the spirit communication. So it's got to be something that was, living in a townhouse, a place that different people have passed through. Who knows who it could be? I mean, this place
Yeah.
has been around since the 80s, so anything could have happened here, or anybody could have passed away here as well.
Or it could have happened on the block. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, exactly.
There's instances where, somebody, they'll just pick a place to go. You know what I mean? And that's because of the way the property lines were, stuff like that. You know what I mean? They show up at your house or whatever. You know what I mean? It's really weird. I've noticed that a lot where with the Dead Files, watching the Dead
Yeah.
Files and Steve DeShavio looking at all the
Hmm.
land and everything, and then now you see Ghost Adventures doing that as well. So yeah, it's
Yeah, well, especially in a place like this where it's a townhouse and it's a type of place where each apartment is attached right to the next. Well, I guess you call it an apartment, but it's like a little house that's next to one another, and
Mhm.
the attics are all attached to each other. So you go into it would be very easy for a spirit to go from one to the next, or whatever they want to do, really, because it's all
Absolutely,
connected.
absolutely. And then you got other type of if you look at the stone tape theory that Zach Bagans talks about all the time when regarding to residual hauntings or psychic impressions. So you've got that theory. You've got, like, how spirits can use water to travel, and different things like that. So
Hmm.
I mean, it could be any possibility. It's I think further communication would better diagnose your problem, but I think that generally, as it's been D that's noticed this. Not you. You never
I
felt.
have in the basement felt a presence at one time, and I think it was just the one time that I felt it. But yeah, it's been D who's noticed them
All right, all
for the most
right. So
part.
they're kind of making themselves known to her visually then.
Yes.
Um, yeah, okay. I have something like that here. I've never had a visual confirmation. I've never seen like a full-bodied apparition. I've had orbs, but I've
Hmm.
never had a full-body apparition. And my girlfriend's sisters actually came the other day, and they were cooking and everything. So one of them had a shower, and she said that she felt like somebody was watching her. We were all downstairs. Nobody was upstairs in the, even around the bathroom or anything. And you could lock the door. And she swore somebody was watching or something. She was really uncomfortable afterwards. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because they're younger, or and this attracts whatever the heck this thing is in here,
Hmm.
or if
Yeah.
it's just trying to pick on somebody, you know.
Yeah. And going to the chat again here, Corey's put another message in there saying that spirits can be drawn to certain people too. So if you have that, I
Yeah,
guess, aura about you, they'll pick up on it.
yeah, yeah.
And they
Very
can
true.
just be assholes and follow you home like they did to me from Trans Allegheny. Oh wow, from Trans Allegheny.
Yeah, Trans Allegheny, the lunatic asylum. Oh God, the
Wow.
horrors that went on in those places, though. The horrors.
Yeah.
You have trans. You've got oh God, Penhurst. You've
Yeah.
got suffer the little children. That news piece and everything. I mean, God, those poor souls that are there. What's the
Yeah.
big one? The big one. The big one. It's right on the tip of my tongue. It was a tuberculosis hospital, Waverly Hills Sanatorium. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard from independent people that there's upwards of like psychics that there's upwards of like 15,000 ghosts roaming that place.
Oh shit.
That's pretty
You
intense.
gotta feel bad for those souls though.
Absolutely. I mean, they're walking around in death with tuberculosis or whatever. They
Yeah,
didn't die.
some of them are trapped in a loop where they think that they're still, you
Yeah,
know, still alive and they're still going through the treatment, and with they're going through that cycle of getting the treatment done and everything. It's like just continuous hell for them. It's just
yeah,
awful.
yeah. And the barbarism that they would do, cutting lungs out and things like that, and trying, they would take out ribs and weird stuff, and lobotomize and everything. They had the body shoot to not, that mile long body shoot that they would put to take the bodies down to not, upset the rest of the people in the hospital because there was so much death on a daily basis at Waverly Hills, eh?
Yeah, Moundville. Corey Knight just
Moundsville. We should get Corey on as a guest one day, and we'll just do a complete feature on haunted lunatic asylums. I don't mean like lunatic in a bad way.
well, that's the term that was used back then. So
Yeah, yeah, it
that's
was.
what it's called. It's called lunatic asylum.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you're going back in May, Corey, and you're going to Mansville too. Picked up
Oh,
some crazy
nice,
stuff at Trans. It was definitely an experience. I'll bet it was.
nice.
Um,
Yeah, no doubt.
yeah, Corey, if you're
Did
ever
they?
into it, if you ever want to jump on with us at, sometime, then that'd be cool to have you on one of our shows.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So,
So hey, can I just want to ask Corey one question. Did they charge you to investigate there? Did you have to pay money to investigate?
yeah, a lot of places um, do
Yeah,
charge, unfortunately. Just
yeah,
like just like an enormous amount just to step foot into a place.
yeah.
It's nuts. Once you get a team like Ghost Ghost
Like,
Adventures or whoever there, that price just goes right up.
yeah, yeah. Well, that was kind of one of the reasons why I blocked what's her name there, the Ghost Girl's Diary one is profiting from the dead type dealing,
Hmm.
yeah. So
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I think that if you're actually wanting to help someone, um, there's no problem with asking like for a donation for like that, but not a mandatory fee, but
Exactly.
I mean, if you want to cover your costs, or maybe if they want to help you to get more equipment or whatever, that's cool. But I would never say we're going to charge you whatever amount to come into your place and find out if there's anything there for you, because that's not helping somebody. That's helping yourself.
Exactly. It's service to self, not service to others.
Yeah.
That's a guy named Stephen D. Kelly. He's an alternative radio host on. He's got his own network now called Truth Cat Radio, and he's a really cool guy to listen to. And he talks about service to others and service to self, and that service to others is much better than service to self, obviously.
Hmm. Sorry, just checking to make sure my mic was still on.
No worries, no worries.
All right. So, yeah, where to next?
Well, I'll just finish up here with the astral shell, and we'll finish this one.
Sure.
So, why would a demon inhibit these astral shells, or familiar spirits, as they're also called? Many mediums in this belief by the charismatic Christian community is a failed one.
Oh, okay.
Mediums
So,
believe.
sorry, just gonna interrupt for a second, John. Sorry. So Corey was saying that you pay to go on the ghost tour, and depending on season, it goes up. It was $100 plus tax to do the 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. tour. When was that, Corey? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Like, are we talking like if it's Halloween or something, it's gonna go up to like $100, or that'd be the season that I would think it would be the time frame they'd try to jump those prices
Also
up.
in summer months, I'd say too.
Yeah, because
It's
everybody's
nicer. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, just wait for Corey to reply there. You'll maybe
Absolutely.
let us know. In the meantime, go on with what you're reading there, John, and once he responds to us, we'll get back to him there.
Many mediums, psychic mediums, veto this belief by the charismatic Christian community because as a failed one, they see it as a failed movement. Many mediums, psychic mediums do, and I don't blame them because I actually agree with it. I'm just presenting this theory. You know what I mean? And so that it's a failed one, and they must accept. So the charismatic Christian community and others must accept that they're not all demonic infested astral shells, and that a medium gets a full feeling of the person that they're encountering or channeling or speaking with on their investigations. They feel that person's pain. They, everything, and so how can you discount that? Because not every time I see Amy Allen do a walkthrough is she encountering a demon all the time. A lot of times it's a residual spirit. It was a man that shot himself and he's
Hmm.
reliving that death. And
Yeah.
so, you know what I mean? That's a terrible thing, but that doesn't mean that's a demon in there doing that. I
Hmm.
strongly believe that I'm on the side of the mediums. I'm really
Yeah.
on the side of the mediums. And that just, I just found this subject so terrifying to think about that once you cross over, many people, many of us have plans and code words that if anything ever happens and somebody wants to try and get me on the box, there's going to be a word, a code word,
Hmm.
and you'll know
Yeah.
it's me.
Yeah. So
And
Corey was saying that he went last year in June, and in October, Halloween was outrageously expensive. That doesn't know the exact price, but was out of his budget and sells out pretty quick, I guess. He says
yeah,
in the chat there.
yeah. Wow. Well, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, these people, they own them, they buy them, they own them, and then it's like, all right, come on in. It's a cash cow.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people do end up trespassing and stuff like that because they just can't afford it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless, you're going to save up money or you've got a big trust fund or, whatever. And a lot of us just don't have that. So,
Yeah.
when once the snow melts here in Manitoba and it gets a little nicer, I'm going to some locations, but they're all public locations. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
not going to go, I don't have that kind of money being on disability here. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, I
To
got a
fork
couple
over.
places in Toronto I want to visit and try and get up there. There's a couple of haunted locations there too that are, public, and you can go in there without having to pay anything. But it's really sad that these, because of these shows that have been on and stuff, the prices are just, and that's really, I think, the reason for it is because they've been on TV and everything.
Yeah.
So people have heard of them, they want to go there. So these places then decide, okay, well, this is how we can make money. We just make money by, charging these high prices, and it's just kind of ruin it for anybody who wants to go in there and do an actual serious investigation. And because a lot of these TV shows, it's crap. The producers make them. I've read an article. Actually, it ended up being fake news. So,
Well, the
um,
way I kind of look at it, and sorry to interrupt you,
yeah.
but the way I look at it is in a lot of cases, Ghost Adventures isn't coming to your house to solve your problem. Ghost Adventures is coming to your house to collect evidence. That's what they're going to do. All right. So they're not coming here to help you. They say they're going to help you under the guise they're going to help. But in my opinion, what a lot of teams do when they promise help is that they stir a lot of crap up by using provocation, by, you know what I mean, really getting on their nerves, the spirits. I mean, Zach isn't actually the nicest man when it comes to he yells a lot, and he, things like that. And so if you're going to start stirring up these negative entities that may be in these places where they go to, or you could even piss off a positive entity and they're going to get mad at you. And when
Hmm.
those guys go home, the client is left in a state of almost a whirlwind at some point. You know what I mean? And it
Hmm.
gets worse, and it can get worse. And they've got their evidence. The episode is over. It's produced reality television. You know, they move on to their next location. And that's the end of it. And the one thing I respect more about Amy Allen with the Dead Files is that when they do the reveal and all that, you see 20 minutes of her talking, not even, just saying this is three things need to be done. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But if you go onto YouTube and you look at lectures and speeches that she's given, or Q&As, she says she'll actually have a list of like 100 things that this person needs to do, and she'll basically walk them through everything they need to. And if she can't, she gives them a list of resources that they can contact that are available to them. And so when she leaves, when she gives them a list of 100 things, not three things
Hmm.
that make it off the cutting room floor. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so she always emphasizes that. And I would even like to see a lot of these ghost shows, these ghost adventures, and that kind of do the same thing, because
Hmm.
they are coming in, they are riling up what's inside the home. And when they leave, the homeowner it's up to them to figure it out, and to get somebody in to help or cleanse the place. And sometimes it's going to take an exorcism. It's not going to take a simple smudging.
Hmm.
It's and if you don't know who to talk to or who to contact, there's a lot of fakes out there.
Hmm.
And that's an episode I want to do, is fake demonologists, because there's cases of guys that are licensed on the internet, and they've had some devastating consequences to where they were almost charged with murder, because there's been cases where demonologists that don't have a PhD and who are not actually psychic come in and blame a 15-year-old girl for some type of malevolent spirit that's there. And in two cases, one girl set herself on fire and committed suicide that way, and another one committed suicide, I do believe, via gunshot, because they were so convinced it was them, because the demonologist said, it's you, it's
Hmm.
in you, it's in you. And so at 15, in those formative years, that screws up a
Yeah,
kid,
that's gonna
man.
fuck someone up.
girl
Yeah,
girl
big
or
time.
boy. Girl or boy. And you got these fugazi guys that are charging people, and they're doing more damage,
Hmm.
instead of helping. And really, we got to get rid of these people. When
Yeah.
I say, when you look at me, it says it's a parapsychologist and a demonologist working out of Canada. I do not have a doctorate, so I am an amateur demonologist. I
Hmm.
am not a full fledged demonologist because a demonologist has to have a doctorate in psychiatric backgrounds so that they can take the person who's being affected and have them be looked at by a mental health care practitioner to make sure that they aren't suffering from some type of a visual hallucination, anything like that, seizures, schizophrenia, God forbid, anything like that, before you can even rule in the paranormal.
Yeah, and
That's what
Spirit Box apps and video is on here. He says hi, but he's also said, "What do you think about Ralph's? I don't know how to pronounce last name. Sarchi,
Ralph.
Sarchie. Are you familiar with that name?
No, sir. No, unfortunately, I'm not.
Hmm. Okay, I have to look into that.
I
Um,
definitely will. I'll actually make a notation of that in my book.
yeah,
I'll have to go down.
I think that would be a really cool episode to do. You know, John, like if we could compile a list of the douches who are doing this for, the fakes.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
the ones who are the fakes. Get a list out there and just out them and let
Yeah,
people know who they are. And in a way, it would be kind of protecting, whoever might come across what we reveal there, to kind of protect themselves a little bit and actually be able to have the chance to get into touch with somebody who's legit, maybe actually also not just out people, but also give maybe some names of people that are reliable as well.
I actually have a. I'll have to go and look for it again. But what got me into this thing was that I actually found a show that was done with an actual demonologist who was talking about this that was going on
Hmm.
about the fake demonologist, right? So what I can do is I'll find that on YouTube and I'll share that with you. I'll also take notes and stuff like that, and maybe we can look into some of these other people and make it a
Hmm.
project and then present it after, you know what I mean, as sort of like an exclusive on our channel
Okay, so
or
this
your
Ralph
channel.
Sarchi guy, apparently, they did a movie with Eric Bana, made a movie about him, I guess. Or Eric,
Oh,
yeah, Eric Bana. Eric Bana. I don't know that name. Sorry.
uh, I think he used to no Eric Bana. Damn it, I know who that is. I just can't remember who he used to play. Wasn't it the Hulk? Did that guy play the Hulk? I know Lou Ferrigno played the Hulk, but
Yeah.
what's it? I think Bana might. I'm not sure though. I'll have to look that up. I really will. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with this gentleman.
Yeah, I want to look that up too. Like, be a good thing to actually see. I guess Corey's saying it's a good movie too. So
Yeah.
another one, Deliver Us from Evil is the movie. So
Oh,
Deliver Us from Evil. I'm gonna check that out tonight.
yeah,
Probably. Give
yeah,
that a watch.
yeah,
Thanks, guys. That's awesome.
yeah. Thank you so much for the suggestion, bro. I mean, I always love to learn. Seriously, I mean, I just went through Flint Town on Netflix. Wow, wow. Don't watch the second last episode towards the end, though. The cat team has to put down a couple of dogs, and it's not nice. I
Hmm.
started screaming. I hated the cop at that point. I was like, I hope you friggin' die. I hope you die in the line of duty. And then I got over it. And, I have such sensitivity to pets, animals
Yeah.
dying. I mean, oh, come on, man.
I'm like that too. You should like see me watching a movie. I'll just like be yelling at the screen or whatever, or just
Yeah.
I've
I,
thought about doing a video where I'm just like watching the show, start the show and then just see all the comments that are made during it. But
yeah.
I don't know how well that would go over, to be honest.
Hey, I was thinking about doing that for like a Patreon thing.
Yeah,
Like,
Spirit
if
Box
you,
says it. Oh, go ahead, because this is
it,
important.
I was thinking about like for a Patreon thing, right? Like if somebody donated like X amount of dollars or whatever, right? That I would go on a stream and watch a TV show and swear at everybody on the TV show for like 30 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And just go off on like Friends or something or some really freaking or some show that they like, and I'll just start insulting it and make them laugh.
Oh, don't do it for 30 minutes, man. Do the whole show.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, for sure, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Like, I
Yeah.
remember there's a cracked writer named Amanda Manning. I think she still writes for crack.com. And
Yeah.
she actually offered that in Patreon where she would actually do a live stream and like yell at your TV show or something like that. And like, I don't know.
So yeah, Spirit Box Apps and Video says that it was that he did actually play the Hulk before.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was before Norton, I guess,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
he also has a YouTube channel. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Eric Bana is badass. He was in Munich, right?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Eric Bana was in Munich. That was a badass movie. That was like a Jewish guy taking it to the Germans for once, man.
That's awesome.
I keep getting Eric Bana mixed up though with his name. I can't remember his name now. Eric something. He was Carmine Falcone in The Dark Knight. You know when the guy is on the stand, The Dark Knight, and he goes, "What do you call it?" He's like, "Well, you're here to testify." Harvey Dante's saying like, "You got to testify." We had a deal in place, and the guy's going, "I'm the brains of the operation. Carmine Falcone ain't nothing." And then the guy pulls out a gun, and it goes click, and it doesn't fire. And Harvey punches him out, and he takes the gun, and he goes, "I suggest next time if you want to kill an elected official, you buy American." Remember that? That guy's name's Eric something as well. He was in Crank or not Crank, sorry, Spun. He was like the meth guy in Spun. He actually did try out for that movie. Oh, what's it called now? With the truck driver, Candy Cane. They went
Hmm.
with that Levine. What's his name? Levine that did Silence of the Lambs. Ted Levine
Yeah.
instead. But I remember hearing his stuff on the what do you call it? It was him and another guy, and then Ted Levine that auditioned with their voices to
Yeah.
do the role of the trucker.
Yeah. So I guess it's Sriracha who has a YouTube channel. It's Sriracha NYC that was from um that was from Spirit Box and Apps video there.
Right on, brother. Thank you. So I'm gonna have to check that out after the stream.
Sure.
I love going down YouTube rabbit holes. I mean,
Oh man, I could spend hours. Yeah.
yeah, me
Sometimes.
too, and I
Yeah.
absolutely have.
Yeah. You just go from one thing to another, and then if something cool pops up, and like if you've got the I don't know whatever is the automatic on to the next video,
The
then you could like
autoplay.
spend hours at it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
But then just like searching for something else because it intrigues you, you want to look up more about it, then yeah, I can spend like hours doing that.
Yeah, I actually did that regarding and I'd love to do an episode about it.
Corey says that the trucker movie you're thinking of is called Joyride.
That's right, Joyride. That's right. Thanks, Corey. What do you call it though? Oh man, I lost my train of thought again. Oh yeah, that's right. I'd love to do a future episode though about what went on during the hurricanes down there
Hmm.
when they both happened. I was telling you that earlier,
Yeah.
and there's some pretty. I mean, I know Trump's in office now and all that, but under Obama, there was some pretty sketchy crap that was
Right,
passed
right.
through
I
and
see
a
what you're getting
lot
at.
of
Yeah.
people don't know about, and I think they should know about it. And one of these days, I think we're gonna have to talk about that, as gruesome as it may be.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, with the whole Hillary thing and everything.
that's right. That's right. And her girlfriend and a sorority sister, Benazir Bhutto, who was assassinated by her own people for draining the blood of some, I don't even know how many Pakistani soldiers.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
disgusting.
absolutely disgusting. I just despise the Clintons, and I you know what if people can hate Trump all they want, here we in Canada we don't really got to deal with him.
Hmm.
So really, I just like listening to his comedic tweets and his his little rants and stuff. But we
Well,
got to deal.
we don't have to deal with him until he does something stupid that puts us into a third world war.
Exactly, exactly. But I think Israel is going to be the one that kicks off World War III because they want to hit Iran and they want to hit Iran now. And during the presidential race, Hillary said that if she was elected president, she would attack Iran,
Hmm.
which would then have provoked the Third World War.
Okay, Corey,
And
thanks so much for joining us.
right
Corey's
on,
got to take
Corey.
off.
Thanks,
Corey's got to take
Corey.
off there. All right,
Hopefully, his
Corey.
Politico didn't chase him away.
Great podcast. Look forward to more, he says. So thanks so much,
Awesome.
man. Appreciate that a lot.
Thanks so much, man.
Okay, so we were going to, let's see, we're going to touch on chemtrails this time around, or are we going to save that for another one?
You want to do chemtrails a bit?
Sure, why not?
I don't think that we suffer from that chemtrail effect really here in Canada per se. I think that's an American thing. I do believe it exists in Britain as well. I myself have never seen evidence over Manitoba
Mm-hmm.
anywhere that I've traveled of these types of spraying activities.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've seen the images that were posted of planes with the gear inside that sprays this crap. But I think the one thing is that there's a show called Joe Rogan Questions Everything that he
Mm-hmm.
did with Duncan Trussell, and you can get all those episodes on YouTube for free. And he did one with chemtrails, and Eddie Bravo, his buddy, is really into chemtrails. But what Joe Rogan found was that over California, they were testing the sludge. All right. And that was a big deal because this guy said, well, we've got these high levels of aluminum and all these things that are bad for the soil, and we're breathing this stuff in. And there's nanoparticles in there. So you're inhaling these nanoparticles that are miniature computer whatevers. And, they can track you biometrically and everything else. And, yeah, really, when they did the testing, and then Joe Rogan took an independent sample and took it there, and they both were exactly the same. And he had the guy on his podcast, and they actually got into, well, Rogan doesn't argue. The other guy got heated, and then
Mm-hmm.
Rogan ended the podcast after like 40 minutes. And it was an argument about what is sludge. And sludge is wet mud,
Mm-hmm.
watery mud. That's sludge.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have high nitrates. You're going to have all that depending on where you live. And so, I'm not saying the phenomenon is not a real one. There's something out there called Agenda 21, and it's the plan to kill you. And I know even more ways that the Americans want to kill their citizens. And I told you about them damn guillotines, but we're not going to get into that today.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they're still running under Trump, so I don't know that. But you know, um, really, it's a dodgy subject. It's something that I love to research, but it's something I've never found it really in Canada.
Yeah, Spirit
I
Box, an apps video. He says that he sees them over his area. What area in their Spirit Box?
Yeah,
Just out of curiosity, that way we can actually pinpoint an area where it is happening.
because I don't doubt that there aren't things that are going on because in my opinion Trudeau Jr. is George Bush 2.0 for Canada. His father was a prime minister, now he's the prime minister, you know what I mean? I can see a lot of,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Everybody pretty much voted for him for the pro pot thing. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, that was pretty much the reason. Yeah.
When your prime minister says I support Muslim honor killings, it's like,
Uh-huh.
dude, really? Like, I hate to
Yeah.
say this, but you remember that poor girl whose father cut off her head in Ontario there right on the front lawn because she
Yeah.
wore a mini skirt to school?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's not cool in my book, dude. So sorry to offend anybody, but that really cheesed me off. And he said he supported honor killing, so it's like giving the guy a pass. That's not cool. That's
Wow.
not cool
No,
at all. No.
no. There's certain rules that in this country that should be followed by everyone. I don't care what your religion is.
Exactly.
And that is, and what he did there is just straight up murder.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could even delve into this with the migrant crisis into Europe and that, but that's a totally different platform and a totally different discussion.
Okay. Spirit Box is from West Virginia, it looks like.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there is spraying over that area, of course. And I'm not doubting him. I know that there's spraying over West
Hmm.
Virginia. I've seen clips, so I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm just saying
Hmm.
I don't know if it's a phenomenon that's happening here in Canada.
Hmm.
And if it is, I'm thinking it would be over more global population, like Toronto, maybe,
Hmm.
Vancouver. But the weird thing is that my province has one of the highest targets to hit. If you were an ISIS guy and you really wanted to do damage, you'd go to Winnipeg. Because guess what's in Winnipeg? Canada's friggin' bio fucking center. Pardon my
Uh,
language. They have weaponized smallpox in there. They have weaponized anthrax down there. Like
hmm.
just Winnipeg here. That's a strategic target to hit.
It would
I
be,
mean,
yeah. You
so
blow that up and
that
and just
yeah,
release all that into the air and
yeah, and,
do a
and
lot of
we're all
damage.
getting it. It hits the jet stream and we're toast.
Hmm.
So, I don't know how much our government is complicit with the chemtrail thing, but I do know that our government is complicit in spying. And I
Hmm.
can go into that very, very quickly,
Okay,
5 minutes or less. So,
sure. Let's do it.
in the US and in Canada, it's with CSIS, the Canadian Secret Intelligence Service, and over in Britain, you're not allowed to spy on your own citizens. So the US cannot spy on their own citizenry. Canada can't. The UK can't. You know what I mean? So what happens is that they all do the spying for each other. They report back, and that's the way it goes. Canada spies on the US. The UK spies on these people. You know what I mean? And then everybody goes and has a nice discussion.
Hmm.
And so that's the way it works right now.
Yeah,
And the alarming thing that I'm watching now is, have you ever seen Spectre with the newest James Bond one there?
I think so.
Yeah, where Q was building that thing that they could get into every single CCTV camera in Britain and all that kind of stuff. That's happening. I mean, I'm watching a series called Nightmare Landlords and Tenants and stuff like that, and like yeah, and there's all these people in Britain that are feeling, oh, this neighbor's crazy, so I got to put up 10 CCTV cameras around my house, and the police in Britain are actually telling people to install CCTV for, anything that might happen. And if you look at Britain, even if you look just driving down your streets in the main part of your city, you're going to see probably 4 cameras on just about every traffic light.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now in Britain, you have a lot of people installing CCTV. So I kind of think that movie was almost Hollywood's way, like they like to do,
Hmm. Of make
um,
open your eyes to something.
in letting you know this is happening and you
Yeah.
can't stop it.
Hmm.
And so, and I find it very suspect. And, we were talking about what you see in movies and things like that earlier, and we should definitely do a show about that. But yeah, that's just, 5 minutes or less. This is kind of how it works within the deep state, and that's apparently crumbling. So
Yeah.
if you listen to Robert David Steele.
Spirit Box and Apps video. They have a toxic plant built over in East Liverpool, Ohio. I think Charlie Sheen was against it because of his grandparents. I think they live around there, he says.
Oh, wow. So they've got a plant there that they basically equip the spray or whatever that goes into these airplanes then. Because I've even heard that they spray with civilian jetliners in some occasions, and there's been footage with civilian jetliners that are landing and they're still spraying
Hmm.
in the United States. So, you know, if
Yeah.
if they've got these plants, like they have these fusion centers for FEMA camps, You know what I mean? I don't doubt it. And I don't doubt that's what's going on. I mean, I really don't doubt it. It's just we don't see it in Canada. It's not as prevalent here
Hmm.
than it is over there, over in the United States. So I'm not sure what's going on with us personally, with our government, because our government keeps pretty quiet about these things. And there's not a lot of Canadian whistleblowers out there.
Hmm.
It's a lot of stuff that has to do with the US and into the UK and that. So, when you look at Canada, they seem pretty we seem spot on, like, we're not gonna hurt anybody, and
Hmm.
everybody on TV makes fun of us for being too nice or whatever. But I mean, I haven't seen the evidence of that in Canada, but I totally agree that it is probably happening, and people are being adversely affected by it. And honestly, I know of alternative media hosts that live in California that take pictures of the sky every day and post them on social media and say, "You can't tell me this is not chemtrails," you know. And in my opinion, I don't believe it's cloud seeding. I believe it is something that is um, more malevolent or more malicious, towards humans than the government would have anybody believe.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see what you see in Canada. You don't actually see the chemtrails. What you see is the just the condensation from the
Yeah,
planes. It's just like a white
the
whatever you call it.
contrail. Yeah,
Yeah, the
those are
contrail.
called contrails. Yeah.
Yeah,
We don't get that long lasting, those big long crisscross lines. You know
yeah,
what I mean? The
yeah,
the you know we
yeah,
don't get we I've never seen that here. I've never seen it here once. So
yeah.
I just I can only speak from my own experience.
Hmm. Yeah,
In Canada.
yeah. In Canada, anyway. I've
Yeah.
never seen it here at all.
Yeah, I have not.
Thank God. Because
Absolutely, thank God.
I looked up and saw that, I'd probably be a little bit freaking out a little bit there.
Oh, me too. Me too. I think I'd start going into prepper mode at that point.
Hmm.
Get some unregistered firearms and all that. Three bunch of food.
Yeah,
Well,
go
like,
underground.
hey, if it happens, like they say, it's lawlessness. So you're gonna have to protect yourself because once the gangs get a hold of the weapons, that's the end of it.
Hmm.
That's something that I could bring up when we talk about the hurricane situations and that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So touched on that. We touched on the residual shell thing, residual hauntings, and we did. What was the other thing we did?
Chemtrails. Some other conspiracy talk talking about how places charge, so ghost adventures and other type of groups and that go in there and rile them up and stuff. That
Yeah.
was one of the reasons why I blocked Ghost Girl Diaries, because she wanted the Stanley Hotel where the body of Elisa Lamb was stuffed into that tank. Did you ever see that footage of her going into the elevator and all that, and she got shoved in? No,
No.
Elisa Lam. That's why I blocked her, because she was saying that the Stanley Hotel needs to displace all the permanent residents that were living there, so that way people could do ghost tours.
Huh.
And this hotel has like permanent residents that pay to live in these rooms monthly, or whatever. And
Just kick them
so
all out.
yeah, just kick them all out, and that way we can pay this place $900 to go in and let us do a night of uninterrupted whatever. And it's like, so and that's one of the reasons why I blocked her, and I chose, and that's one of my most viewed videos actually. And a lot of people got mad at me about it, but you know what? I'm not gonna say, hey, you know what? I want to come to your house, so I'm gonna kick you out for 3 days
Yeah.
and do whatever the hell I feel like doing. Like,
Yeah.
no, you know.
Spirit Box and Apps Video saw the footage anyways. I'll have to check that out. Just to see what that's about there. But yeah, just throwing throwing people out just so you can do investigation, and where they supposed to go when that's going on.
Exactly. It's like, hey, Ghost Girl, are you going to be the one paying for all these people's new hotel accommodations? Because
Hmm.
that's going to cost you a lot of money, you know?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I just kind of disagree with it when it's for profit and she's saying that these people should be displaced and yada, yada, yada. I'm sure she's changed her tune now, but, whatever.
Hmm.
There's people
That's
that don't like me, so it's all right.
yeah. I don't think anybody gets along with absolutely everybody, anyways.
No, no, we don't. And that's digital space for you and everything else, like I was talking about in the first podcast. And, we choose who we want to look at and everything else and who we choose to follow and yada, yada, yada. So, you know,
Hmm.
yeah. So, I mean, I just used to watch everybody back in the beginning, and
Yeah.
as my opinions formed, certain people went by the wayside and, they're probably doing great and I hope they're doing great. And I wish them nothing but the best and I wish them nothing but success. But, you know, I
Hmm.
just have time for them. So that's that. That's it.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel.
Well, you're gonna gravitate to whatever interests you. So there's
Yeah,
no sense
absolutely.
watching stuff that you're not interested in just to make other people happy. So
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I found. So, that's just the way it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if we have anything else to go over here.
I think there was anything else on the agenda. I don't know if there's anything you can think of, or if there's anybody in the chat that might want
Yeah, if anybody in the chat has anything to say, we'll go to the chat for a couple minutes here just before we take off.
to. Yeah,
Let's see here. That's so people survive and you can do ghost hunts with people or around. I mean, you can't throw them out. Yeah. Well, that's right. Spirit box absent video. You can't just kick somebody out just because you want to go and investigate a place.
exactly.
I mean,
Exactly. You just can't do it.
and if you're doing a private investigation for somebody and it's more helpful for you to have the place to yourself so that you're not getting any contamination,
Yeah.
and then you talk to them about that beforehand. But to just throw a whole bunch of people out of a hotel, the,
Yeah, it just
the
doesn't sit right with me. Like
yeah,
you said, it's different if you're requested to come in and do an investigation, and these people have alternate accommodations and stuff like that where they can leave the house and keep it. But at some point, you do need to bring people back in because if you're not gathering evidence, you might need to use a person as a trigger. You know,
exactly. Yeah, yeah. If something's only happening around a certain person, then you want that person there so that you can test to see if that activity is going to happen that way.
Exactly. And another thing I just love to point out is that you don't bear fruit on every investigation you do.
Hmm.
There's a lot of them where people get nothing or they might get one or two things and then if you go back you might get more. I mean it just depends.
Hmm.
So it's if you're going to be paying big money, I mean, you don't want to be disappointed. So,
That's right.
yeah.
All right. Well, looks like nothing happened in the chat there, so
All
I
righty.
think we can sign off on this one, John, and
I think
come
we should
back.
wrap it up. Yeah.
I'm off Thursday and Friday, so we'll probably. I don't know. Are you free those days?
Absolutely, brother.
Yeah. All right.
I'm
So we'll be
tip
back
top
on
Magoo.
Thursday or Friday, and
Yes.
we'll figure out what we're doing in the meantime between now and then. So,
Absolutely.
all right. So thanks so much
Absolutely.
for everyone who joined in the chat tonight, and for anyone else who wants to leave a comment. Once this is on the channel and everything. And also, I'm going to put a link to John's channel so that people who want to subscribe to you, John, can do that easily if they see
Awesome.
the video. Anything you want to say before we head off?
No, I just want to say we had a great time tonight, man. I love doing this show. And what do you think? Should we say it?
Absolutely, I forgot all about that, man. So the name of the show is Beyond.
The Beyond.
Beyond the Beyond is the new name of the podcast. There we go. I forgot all about that. Thanks for the reminder.
No worries, brother. No worries. I just wanted to bring that up, man. So
Right.
from now on, we are beyond the beyond.
Beyond the Beyond. All right. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Take it easy. Stay true. Keep believing.
Absolutely, yo. Peace. Hang loose and always rock and roll, guys.